Hi everyone, and thanks for joining us on using Clicker to support literacy. I'm joined today by Andrew Cumming from Quick Software, and we thought we would show you some of the features of Clicker as one tool to support your students with their literacy needs. So I'm Erica Smith and I am from Highfield School in Blackpool. We are a special school. We cater for students ages between 2 and 19. I need to update that because we have currently 104 pupils on roll, and we've got a real variety of complex medical and physical needs, and we really use technology to remove some of those barriers for our students to enable them to be the best that they can be. We use lots of EdTech within school. We are a Google Drive school. We use lots of iPads to support learning and for communication, and we have a lot of assistive technology embedded throughout school. If you walk around, you'll see lots of our students using technology, not only to access the curriculum, but also to promote social inclusion. So we've got lots of communication aids being used, and Clicker is one of the tools we use in school. We have just upgraded to Clicker 8. So I'm going to introduce you to Andrew, who is going to talk us through some of those features.
Yes, no, thank you very much for that, Erica, and thank you and welcome to everyone watching this recording. Hopefully it goes smoothly and we don't have any technical difficulties. So yeah, just before we start, my name is Andrew Cumming. I've been an education consultant at Quick Software for about 2.5 years now. Before I worked here, I did used to be a Year 4 teacher. I've been in the classroom, so a lot of the examples we'll be showing today, it'll be topic areas that you should look at in different year groups. Right. Okay. Just before we start to show some of the activities, in terms of Clicker, it's a reading and writing kind of support tool for all pupils really. It can be accessed on Windows, Mac, iPads and Chromebooks as well. So you can use it on a range of different devices, and lots of schools I've worked with, including your school, Erica. It has become that whole school teaching toolkit really. So the first area that we'll go into, and I'll let Erica take over in a second, is our first two activities designed for kind of pre-reading.
Thanks, Andrew. So Andrew is going to show us a few demos and the features of the talk sets and the matching sets, which I see fitting in school with, and we use for very much our pre-readers and our younger students. So the talk sets are great because they are those visual scenes to prompt conversation, and for your students with speech, language and communication needs, these are a really nice starting point. The matching sets I use to introduce if maybe a student isn't at that word level. You can start matching picture to picture, you can match picture to word, so you can be teaching that word, and then you can progress through so that you're purely matching the words.
Yeah.
I like to use this with our younger students, and we match, it might be objects, it might be storybook characters. I've created matching sets for Oxford Reading Tree characters, any topic-based work. I must say that although Clicker is a predominantly primary-based literacy resource, within our special school setting, we use it throughout school, all throughout for our primary children, and then in the secondary school for those sensory learners who maybe aren't ready for that, Microsoft Word processing. We use it all the way through school.
Yeah.
So Andrew, you're now going to talk us about the talking sets and the matching sets.
Yes. So just explaining what Erica just said there, talk sets are great for pupils developing verbal skills, even using it as whole class activities as well, or for starters and plenaries, bringing the whole class together. Let's talk about a picture or an image, rather than kind of writing all of our ideas down on paper. So I've kind of handpicked with Erica some activities I do want to show. Now, all of these activities you can see in this folder here, so Iron Age, Firework Safety, all of these are found in an area called Learning Grids, by the way. Learning Grids is around 2,500 pre-made activities that comes with Clicker. It's focused on the primary national curriculum, and they're free to use within Clicker 8, and they're constantly updated every 3 to 6 weeks. So although I won't specifically be going into Learning Grids, all of the activities today are found in different areas. So just showing you a couple of resources, talk sets in particular we'll start off with. So I've got 3 examples here. So the first one would be about the Iron Age Roundhouse. So the aim of these is to provide a picture, and that could be a character or a scene. And what we do as a pupil is we'd click on the picture, and what we do at the bottom here is we've got 4 audio buttons now that act as like MP3 recorders. So using this individually on a one-to-one basis or as a group, we could say, okay, Blue Table, what initial ideas can you tell me about the Roundhouse? They would come, click on that blue icon, the sound recorder appears, and then we just hit record. This record feature allows us to record up to a minute of audio as well. So plenty of time to store initial responses, individual words, or even short paragraphs. And this could be anything, more teacher-led about what can we see in this scene. Once we've recorded our ideas, we click stop, click done, and whatever that group or pupil has recorded is just stored as an audio cue in that blue one. And then the next pupil comes up, clicks on the red icon, hits record, and so on and so on. So really good just to store initial ideas, verbal ideas as well, before we go into that writing process. So that's just one example and kind of how they work, just hitting that record button in the voice notes. So of course, that's one of our history topics there. Alternatively, it could just be something on fireworks safety. So, we click on the picture, same again, what can you tell me about this picture? We need to hold sparklers, the correct distance from our face, and just generally talking about the safety behind fireworks. So not necessarily relating directly to the primary curriculum. And then other types of activities as well. If we open this one up here, this is just a simple activity all about talking about pets or animals. So we could click on the rabbit. Similar to the Roundhouse, we've got 4 recordings, and these could just simply be the rabbit is white. So it could be just initial responses or prompts that they get from the picture, and just giving pupils the ability to store and develop ideas verbally, as opposed to the emphasis being writing it down in a book, because as we'll all know, it's not as simple as just writing it on a piece of paper. There are so many barriers, fine motor skill difficulties, pupils that struggle with spellings and so on and so on. So giving our pupils that have great verbal ideas and giving them a talk set is a really nice start to the lesson. And going on to the other type of activity that Erica mentioned. So these were talk sets. The other type of activity is matching sets, and I've got 3 here. So the first one, I've got one on counting money and counting coins. So Clicker doesn't necessarily have to be just about writing or English topics. So we've got a range of different coins here, and then with a matching set, we'd click on the arrow, we would have a picture prompt, and then we've got a range of answers. And of course, one of these will be the correct choice. If we get it wrong,
try again.
So try again, it will repeat. We've got to have another go. And then when we get it right,
well done.
Well done. Click on the arrow and then go to that next kind of calculation or picture with that choice. So, of course, we've got a range of numeracy activities there. We have things, even, science circuits, like electrical circuits. So click on the arrow. We've got the line here, and then which one is that correct choice?
Well done.
So same again, it's not just about our English topics and all about creative styles of writing. So we've got science topics there, and then just to finish off, another science topic, something for our pupils, a little bit more confident. We've got something about animal skeletons. So same again, quite a complex topic here, and how it can really be scaffolded to meet our more confident learners. We click on the arrow, as you can see here, more choices now, and then same again, we click the correct answer.
Well done.
Click on the arrow, and then which is the skeleton for this one. So we've got a range of activities, and they're just 6 that I pulled from Learning Grids. There are hundreds of more talk sets and matching sets, and these are just how they function. And of course, we've got a range of these available as well. Erica, I don't know if these anything else you want to add to that before we move on to the next section?
Yeah, thanks, Andrew. I really like what you said about on the talking sets. It really is about removing that barrier for those students who have got reading and writing difficulties. Maybe they've got dyslexia. You know, there's nothing worse than staring at a blank screen trying to come up with, or if they've got kind of poor visual memory. Whereas actually having that nice visual prompt provides a really nice starting point.
Yeah, a lot of pupils are really visual, aren't they? And
Yeah.
you know, and that's how a lot of them, you know, really work.
I think as well, if you've got a student that's got poor attention and listening difficulties, you know, rather than staring at that screen, they might only be able to attend to the activity for 5 or 10 minutes, but actually you've given them quite a lot to think about with that one image, and you can get quite a lot of recorded content off them in a short period of time. So I think that's a really useful tool. I was just thinking when you were talking about the matching sets, I think it's important to mention early on that all of the activities in Clicker are switch accessible. If you've got a student using a different access method, maybe they are using eye gaze, which we use both switches and eye gaze in our school. These activities, you know, you can scan. It is eye gaze accessible. You can set your mouse dwell. So these activities are accessible for all students, whether they've got physical difficulties. So I just think that's a really nice feature. I don't know if you just want to give a very quick demo of that, Andrew, before we move on.
Yeah, so in terms of the access options, what's really nice is, you know, as teachers, we can plan that one activity and the whole class can use it together. You know, so you're not, you know, limiting the resources available to certain pupils. In terms of, you know, eye gaze and switches, what you do is you go into the options, click on access, and then you would just select the option that pupil's using. And then, of course, you know, I don't have an eye gaze plugged in, but going into the advanced options, we can change all of the specific features and details that we need. You know, same with 1 or 2 switches as well. We've got the timings, as you mentioned, Erica, the scanning type and things like that. So really easy to set up in terms of the access methods. It's just options, access, and then popping over to this tab here, you can just select from the one that you want there. Yeah.
Great. We're going to move on now to sentence sets and connecting sets, which are really great for those students who are starting to construct sentences, who may struggle with their syntax and their grammar. You know, it's about, you can provide a model for them to work from. You can mix up the sets. So Andrew's going to give us a little demo now on those.
Yes. So sentence sets, you know, all about deconstructing and reconstructing a sentence. These sentences can be simple or complex, and they can cover a range of areas as well. So it's just, you know, let's put this sentence back in the correct order. Couple of sentences I've got here. The first one being story characters. So slightly different activity to what we saw with a talk and matching set. This will take us into the word processor element of Clicker. And as you can see, we've got a picture prompt that we can insert, and then we would have to put that sentence back in the correct order. So the witch is wicked and spiteful. We've got then the prompt to put that full stop in.
The witch is wicked and spiteful.
And hopefully that sound came through for everyone. But once we put that full stop in, it will read it back to us. So really focused on full stops at the end of a sentence. Once we've gone through that first one, we just click on the arrow, and as you can see, it will just take us really nicely through that series of sentences that we've got available to that pupil. This one is focused on story characters, but we have, you know, same again, we've got history topics here. So allowing that topic area to be accessible to everyone. We've got here, you know, different things about medieval knights or knights of armor and the shields, horses. So quite a complex topic, but that's broken down so it is accessible for any pupil in our class. So we've got things on history topics here, and then finally even some of our geography topics as well. So things on coastal landforms, which, you know, can be quite tricky to teach, especially with the you know, the heavy terminology like meander and Oxbow Lake. As you can see, got that picture prompt. And then these are more complex sentences now, but it's just broken down, ready for that pupil to view. And some of the activities even have further support to use as well. So with this being quite a long sentence, if that pupil doesn't know what that sentence says, this support we've got here is a pop-up. So we can click on the eye, the whole sentence will appear. So we can read this back, or we can click on it and Clicker will read the sentence back to us. But then we've got to retain that information before we click on any of the words. We click on the X and then we would form that sentence. And we can refer to this as many times as we want. So we've got a range of scaffolded support available within the activities itself. So that they were 3 examples on sentence sets. So just all about deconstructing a sentence. And then moving on from that, we have a thing called a connect set, which is, once pupils are confident to produce a simple sentence, we may need to extend this so they can be a little bit more independent over the options that they choose. So following on from the story characters, we might have a connect set purely based on writing a traditional story. So this is probably one of my favorites in Learning Grids and on Clicker. But as you can see, we've got 4 fronted adverbials. So it could say long, long ago, there was a, and with our activities in Clicker, if the pupil isn't too sure on what a word says, we can right click on the word as well.
Beautiful. Magician. Wicked.
So we've got that auditory support throughout. So if you can't read a word, just left click and it will read it back to them. So long, long ago, there was a beautiful magician. Why not? And then same again, we're prompted to put that full stop in.
Long, long ago, there was a beautiful magician.
And then it will read it back to us. And similar to the other activities, we just click on that arrow just to go through the series of ideas that we want them to work on. I do like these connect sets for whole class modeling as well. Great way to introduce a topic and just bring all the class together if you're all looking at the same activity. And we can change the words in these as well if we need to edit this ever so slightly. So that was just that was a traditional story one. Other styles of activities here, we've got one on creature features. So as you can see, slightly different now, where we've got some picture prompts that we can put in, go into the elephant, and we've got even more choices now. An elephant has or uses it. So we've even got a range of different style of connect sets as well. We can change these so it's different animals. But as you can see, it's all about moving them on from simple sentence building and letting them be a bit more confident and take a little bit more control over their work. And then finally, just before we move on, we've then got even these ones here. So a little bit more simplified now. So where is the butterfly? The butterfly is above, behind, or under, and then the flowers. So connect sets don't have to be complex. They can just be single sentences, just giving them a couple of options in the middle, like this example here. So they were 3 examples of connect sets and 3 examples of sentence sets. And of course, these are just 6 activities. I think we've got around probably about 500 of these in Learning Grids based on all different topic areas. Erica, once again, I don't know if there's anything else you want to add to the sentence and connect set section before we move on.
No, I just think that I was just going to say that we use the pop-up as the prompt, as you're getting onto those more complex sentences. Yeah. We use that a lot, and I think it's really nice that actually it won't let you go until they've clicked to show that they've, like you said, about retaining that information. It won't let them go on any further. So I think that's a really nice feature that we use quite a lot in school.
Yeah, it just gives them a little bit more support.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I do like that. Yeah. So. Yeah, so
we're going to move on. Sorry, Andrew.
Yeah,
sorry. I was just going to say that we're going to move on now to what I would say is a really nice whole class activity at the beginning of we use it specifically at the beginning of a topic, which is the Clicker board, which is a really nice mind mapping tool. And Andrew's also going to cover the word banks. Yeah. I think it's really nice that if you are at the beginning of that topic, it's nice to see what existing vocabulary your students have already got. What I like is that it's one document that you can do as a class, and it's easily adapted for different ability levels. So you can get that information as a group. You can add in, for us, we use board maker symbols as our picture communication symbols to support a lot of our students with their understanding. So I like the fact that actually for those students who use alternative methods of communication, they've got the access to the same symbols as their communication device is now in their literacy task, which I think is really nice for students who are using different access methods.
Yeah.
I like the fact that you can then take the board, as Andrew's going to show you in a minute, and then put that into a word bank for those students who are maybe have a higher literacy skill. So Andrew, I'm going to hand over to you.
Yeah. First of all, clicker boards. So as Erica mentioned, a great mind mapping tool, really. Now for the clicker boards, I'm going to pop into Learning Grids for this one. I did want to give everyone a brief overview. So as you can see, they're the total amount of resources. Down the left-hand side, these are how many different types of activities we have. And of course, we've got 149 pre-made clicker boards. So we've got some activities called Setting the Scene, I believe. Here we go. So we've got 70 setting the scene style activities. So spooky house, underwater world, we've got the island. And what we can do is let's go into at the polls. So we find the activity in Learning Grids and we just click open. This is just a one-page clicker board that we've got here. So we've got that picture prompt in the middle, and around the outside, we can just type. So it might be as a whole class, what animals might live in a cold environment. So we might have the polar bear, we've got a penguin, we've got the Arctic fox, and of course we just click on these just to add our different, different words, phrases, and we can have as much information here as we want as well. We can add multiple boxes. So if I just delete these ones, if you drag from the green circle and then let go, you will automatically get another box. So really easy to expand on your ideas. And then focusing on these 3 words on the left-hand side here, Erica, as you mentioned, once we've produced and developed our clicker board, we do have a lot of picture support that we can embed before we start to use it. And the tool we have is called Picturize, and it's a way to instantly picturize our grids straight away. To get to Picturize, we would click on this little like mountain icon on the left-hand side. We go all the way to the end where it says Picturize cells. We click on that, and hopefully it's big so everyone can see this. Don't think I can make it any bigger, but within Clicker 8, it does come with a folder of pictures called CritPix 2. They are our own pictures we've developed, kind of like clip art style. And then, of course, as Erica's Your School did, you can also get symbol add-ons as well that are licensed through, the relevant symbol owner. Just for this example, I'll just show CritPix 2, but these work with the symbols as well. So any of the symbols you can see here. And once we've clicked on that folder of images, so CritPix 2 or the other symbols, I'm just going to click Picturize. As you can see there, in 2-3 seconds, if you've got if we've got a picture for a word that's in the box, it will instantly add into the grid there. So we can expand on these, make them a little bit bigger, get that visual support there. So when we can do this for all of the boxes, and then what we can do, if we click on that plus sign at the top here, it will just make multiple boards that we can develop. So we don't need to make a new one each time. We can just click on that icon and it will just add a new tab. Now from here, we could fill in the other boxes if we needed to. But what we can also do, and I know Erica, you touched on this, it's what do we do from this point? So of course we could leave this at the front as a whole class so we can look at it, write in our books. But we might actually want to make this more direct in the terms of using it for writing, especially if we're using Clicker's word processor. So what we can do on the left-hand side here, if we go to the very bottom, we've got this icon. It's called the export button. I just usually call it the square with the arrow pointing up because that's what it is. So you click on this icon, and then from here, we do have a couple of options. So saving it as a picture, we can send it to the document as text. But what a lot of schools will do now is they will take the mind map here and they will create a word bank from this. So once I click this, as you can see, all of the ideas that I've developed will be brought into a word bank. And then what we can do is we can click on these and then we can use them within the document above. So really good for, you know, having that planning phase as a starter. And rather than just seeing it as two different elements to writing, we can bring it all nicely together. And of course, if we've got more ideas, we will have more ideas in the word bank. And then we can just start that writing process instantly, straight away. You know, so pupils don't have to wait around. It's very instant. So hopefully should keep their engagement throughout the lesson. So that was one example of a clicker board on Learning Grids, but we do have 150. And then we do also have the ability to turn them into word banks. Now, in terms of word banks as a standalone activity, I have got some word banks here that I do want to show. So word banks, for pupils that are more confident with writing, we might just need to give them some specific curriculum vocabulary, maybe, that pupils can just dip in and out of. We've got a couple of these that I've chosen here. So the first one might be, alternatives to said, or looking at synonyms. So opening this one up here. When I used to teach in year 4, this is one area that I continually tried to develop, and it was to get the pupils out of the rhythm of using said and shouted all the time. So something like this, we've got said, but angry said words, bossy said words, scared and unkind. So, really giving them vocabulary that they never might have used before, putting it into a word bank so it's accessible for them to use within the writing. But alternatively, so that is focused on English writing. We might want something on scientific inquiry words. So we're doing an investigation as a whole class. As you can see, these are just going to be some keywords we need to use on the planning section, the prediction, so hypothesis, the testing, to conclude, and then the report. So even for science topics, writing that follow-up to the experiment, we can even give them some support here in this type of word bank. And then finally, just before we move on, we do have A to Z word banks, we call them, or alphabetical word banks. I describe these as dictionaries based around a topic. So this one here on Egyptians, as you can see, for our more confident learners and readers now, this will just give them curriculum topic words about the Egyptians. And as you can see, it's pretty much every word they probably want to use within the Egyptians topic. But we have loads of these. We have things about the Vikings. We have river terms, A to Z as well. And they can just go through here, find the word they want to use. We can right click once again.
Underworld.
Underworld, and then we can drop and drag that word into the document. So a range of word banks that we've got, and then also the clicker boards. Clicker boards is probably my favorite area as well by far, if I'm honest. I do love the clicker boards because of how you can use them alongside your word banks here. So I'm not sure, is there anything else you want to add to that, Erica, about the clicker boards? I only showed one there, or the word banks.
No, I think it's great. I think what is a nice feature is to, at the end of your topic, when you do that clicker board again, and to see, I think it's quite a nice tool to show that expansion of that vocabulary, to compare what the class knew at the beginning and at the end. I think that's a really nice feature. But no, I think you've covered everything in that.
Yeah. So we'll move on to the next section then. So
So we've only got 2 more features left, guys, and we're going to look at now the word processing features within a clicker document. I think in our school this is really, really useful. We have now created kind of a pathway so that our primary students will use clicker documents for word processing to teach. There's a lot of features on this which Andrew's going to go through to teach some of those early computing skills. I really like, for me, the fact that you can hide a lot of the icons on the top toolbar. So actually, if you wanted to focus on teaching how to save or teaching how to print, or at the same time the fact that you can hide some of those buttons, so that if you've got a child that is a bit click happy and wants to print everything, then you can hide that function. So the way we've used it in school is that our primary students are using Clicker, because there's also the predictor side, which Andrew will cover. What I do like is the fact that now, as I mentioned, you've got the symbol support with the predictor as well, which again, for our students who are then at Key Stage 3 are moving on to, Microsoft 365, that those Boardmaker symbols support is also in 365. So it's quite a nice transition that they've still got that visual support within that kind of word processing. So Andrew, I will hand over to you.
Yeah. I'll go through the predictor tool. I'll show the picturized tool and the symbol support as well. But of course, all of these activities we've used, they build up to the point of, let's actually write. We need to complete that piece of work. And then that's where we're brought to the document side of Clicker. Now, at the top here in the support section, this is where you'll find the main body of the support in Clicker. And we've got one feature here called the predictor that I do want to show. And I'll just minimize this grid at the bottom here so you can see the full page. But what we do is we click on the predictor, brings a nice little pop-up here just to start off that writing. But we do have a feature now where if we click on this tile button, we can pin the predictor to the left-hand side. I do like this, just makes it a little bit clearer. Now, as we start to type, we could be using the sentence sets or the word banks along with our writing, but we might want to put in here just, I like, and as you can see, it's going to suggest words that are most likely to come next within that sentence. We can right click in the predictor as well.
Like.
I like, and then just put P in there. So you can see going here, I like playing, but if we put an L in, it will suggest it at the top of the list.
Playing.
I like playing. And now if I come and I want to spell football, but I'm not sure how to spell that word yet, it's still on my spellings for the week, for example, I might want to just attempt to spell it phonetically. So Clicker's predictor is quite clever. So just by typing FUT, and we can change the color of this, but I have orange, so it just pops a little bit more. It will predict phonetically for us. So we can right click,
football,
and then left click to insert it in. So it's all about editing the work, making sure as they're working through the sentences, it's the sentence that they want to create and not leaving it all the way until the very end. And then, of course, we put that full stop in.
I like playing football.
And it will read it back to us. We can make sure it's not jumbled up and it's the actual sentence we wanted to write. The predictor does work grammatically as well. So if you type we have, we were, we are. So it does work grammatically. And even kind of extending vocabulary as well. Even words like photosynthesis, we can just attempt to spell the word if we've only just come across it in our topic. As you can see there,
photosynthesis.
So great way to also extend vocabulary. So that was the predictor tool that we've got there. So we do have a couple of other features. So when I showed the talk sets and the ability to record ideas verbally, we can also do that within the document. So we can have voice notes connected to the document, not just the talk sets. So we can have it here. But moving on to some of the options that Erica just mentioned, if we pop into the options here, this is where we can change how Clicker functions as a program. So in terms of the speech, we can speed the voice up, we can slow the voice down. We can also change the voice as well. So we do have 4 voices. We have Amy and Alfie, which are like the northern voices. And then we have Rosie and Harry, which are kind of somewhat southern. The difference is Rosie and Harry will say bath, whereas Amy and Alfie say bath. So they're kind of the differences there. We've got things, to reduce the complexity of the predictor. We've got in the spell checker the ability to ignore the red underline for spelling mistakes, turning the capitalization on and off as well as we wish. Just before I go into pictures, in terms of supporting pupils that have like dyslexic tendencies and need them colored backgrounds, we do all that in the display section. So background color here, we can change it to pretty much whatever we want. Can pick from any color. Might be like an ivory color. Click OK. Change the font style if we need to as well. Then once we're happy with that, We click OK, and as you can see, instantly changed for us. So Clicker can actually be accessed for that pupil. So that's done in the display. So options and display. And then finally, if I'll turn this back to white. The final section I do want to show, and I know, Erica, this is a big part of the school. It's the ability to have the picture support in the document as well. So is it these ones that you use, Erica? So it's these ones, isn't it?
Yeah, the picture communication symbols. So
yeah,
most schools will probably know them as board maker symbols, but yeah, PCS.
Yeah, so with the board maker symbols, so I'll show it with these symbols now. What we can do is we can click the folder. So we click the folder to turn it on, and then on the left or at the top here, we're just going to make sure that all of these 3 boxes or even 4 boxes are ticked. And when we click OK, what this does is if we've got a pupil that needs symbol support or just general visual support, as we start to type, I went to the park with my friends and played football. So as you can see, as we start to type and put a space bar in between each word, it will instantly visualize that Word document for us. It even does work with the predictor on. So if I start to type like lion, it will bring up the picture. So we can use that symbol support with the document alongside the support features, just to give them the prompt and the support that they need. You know, the pupil still has to be independent to write the sentence, but we're just making sure that they've got enough support as possible to get them to that end stage of writing. So do really like that picture support in terms of the Picturize feature that we've got there. So that's options and pictures. And what I'll just quickly turn this off. And then, Erica, do you want to say something just before I show how you can hide the buttons? Do you want to say anything else about this section here? Because I know you use the board maker symbols.
Yeah, we do. And what I like about having the symbol support with the words, actually, and with most of the options we've just covered in the Clicker document, if it gives the student the capacity to set their own preferences. So actually, the more, if we encourage students to set their preferences, whether they use pictures, if this is seen as the norm within classrooms, then actually for those students with SEND who do need that support, it's a little bit more discreet because it gives everybody the option to change their own background. So actually those students with dyslexia don't feel isolated and we do have sometimes where students don't want to use various forms of assistive technology for feeling singled out, but actually the way that, and as I mentioned before, when they progress through to Office 365, you know, again, you've got the chance to, it's the way that the world is going, that if we encourage the students to set these preferences, then it just becomes part of the norm. So actually for those students that do need it, it's not then such an isolated piece of software really, which is what I think is a really nice feature.
Yeah, and what we've tried to do with Clicker as well, you know, especially the look of it, is we have tried to make it similar to other word processors they might move on to. So, you know, we've just gone with this pale blue. You know, it's not garish. It's not obvious that, oh, they're using Clicker. But alongside that, you know, we still have all the symbol support that they need. So, you know, it's not discouraging them from using a piece of software, you know, because they feel different. It's, you know, we want them to use the software to help support them. And at the moment, with my symbols at the top here, I've got my symbols to be quite big. They're not normally this size, so you can, and I'll move on to now, Erica, about changing and hiding certain symbols. Because if we go into options, I think it's in display. Yeah, here we go. So options, display, and at the very end, we've got something called tools. So these are all the different tools that you'll find in the document tab. And of course, I've got my symbols to, or my icons to be large, but I can change it to medium. And Erica, as you mentioned, we might have a pupil that loves to print all the time. So we can disable the print, we can disable the pictures. We might want to disable the new button as well, or we might want to keep it. And then in terms of, we don't want to change these, so we'll get rid of these. We might not want them to change the speech. So all we want is these kind of 5 key features here. So new document, save, the suggestions button, so the predictor, the spell checker, we might even want to get rid of that. And then just the voice note as well. And then when we click OK, once we've got these, if I go back to the document here, and my buttons are, this is the usual size of the button, so they're not always, huge. As you can see, I've hidden the buttons, so we can make a new document, we can save, use the predictor, and then we've got the voice note. So we can really target the support that they need, because especially everyone watching this, looking at like Microsoft Word, I probably use 1% of the features, if I'm completely honest. I think I change the font every now and again. But and all the other features, like the review section, preferences, layout, design, pupils aren't even going to touch them. So of course, if we can, embed the core of writing with a word processor, that should hopefully move them on to when they start using, other general software out there that we all use as we kind of like move into adulthood and obviously move up to high school and so on. So yeah, you can limit the buttons that they have as well, which is really nice. And this is what it looks like. But then if we want to, we can just go pop back into the display, change the icons again, and then we can turn on the options. And then if I go back to, here we go, so we can turn them on and off based on that pupil that we're working with. Don't know if you want to add anything else to that, Erica.
I was just thinking about how when you talked about how a lot of the tools and the accessibility features and the preferences are transferable to, like when they do move on to something like Word Online, for example. I was just thinking about the predictor, how many of our students use predictors on their phones now, and it's just, it's becoming the norm, isn't it? And that's what we are encouraging, is that actually, it's not an additional feature. It's just that, a lot of things have predictors on now, so yeah. It's just trying to kind of normalize it for those students who are maybe a little bit reluctant for that level of support.
Yeah, and I suppose as well, because certain features like the predictor and generally writing, pupils can really easily pick up Clicker now as well. It is it shouldn't be something that's a lengthy introduction. We've tried to make Clicker as user friendly as possible. So the predictor, for example, we want to turn the predictor on, just click it. So everything's 1 to 4 clicks away, and then you've got something. So that's what I like as well. It's very clear, not over cumbersome, and it just gives them all the support without cluttering the screen, really. So what I was going to do now, Erica, is I was going to go on to the Clicker Write app and just have a quick look at that. So I'm going to apologize to everyone if this goes wrong, but I did have a test before. So what I'll do is I'll just try and share my iPad screen. So just give me 1 second here. Let me just move this.
I'll just mention how we have just downloaded the Clicker Writer app. So we're still very much at the beginning of our journey with the Clicker Writer app. But what I like about this is obviously it's great for doing homework, and I like the fact that you can add the voice notes as well, so that when you are sending an activity home, the student's got that voice note to refer back to. And equally, if we have got students who struggle with reading the instruction or reading this, what homework has been set, you've got that voice note feature. And again, maybe if you've got parents that have got reading and writing difficulties, and it takes off that pressure when they are helping their student with that homework, if actually that voice note from the teacher is there on that piece of work that's sent to the Clicker Writer app.
It's a lot of potential now, for home use, for parent involvement and things like that. And just to can you see my iPad, Erica?
I can, yeah.
Oh, that's perfect. So I won't go through it completely, because I've already touched on some of the elements at the start. But the Clicker Write app, available on iPads and Chromebooks. So iPads and Chromebooks, this comes on. Now, the Clicker Write app, we've got the on-screen keyboard. We do have the predictor tool that we can see there at the top. So if I type in the example of football, as you can see, works phonetically. So we've brought that feature across from
Andrew. We can't see your typing.
Let me double. So is it kind of just frozen at the moment?
Yeah, I can just see like the home screen with the keyboard on.
Let me just stop sharing. Let me just reshare. So it's the issue when you're trying to share around.
I know you're doing very well, Jill. These demos.
Let's give it a second here. Let's have a see. Hopefully. Can you see me type now?
Yeah.
Okay, so can you see FUT there in the suggestion of football? Yeah, so we've got football there. You know, we can use that predictor. You know, so we have brought that feature over to the Clicker Writer app. We have the voice note feature as well. So we want to record our ideas verbally. We can do that. Click on that button in the top left, and then just start to record our ideas. In terms of activities, so I know we showed like sentence sets, connect sets, and word banks. We do have connect sets or activities in the Clicker Writer app as well. So if we click on the button in the top left with the 4 little squares and then click new Clicker set, can you see that, Erica, that screen here?
Yeah.
Yeah. So within the Clicker Writer app, we've got the 3 kind of key writing support activities. So we can make sentence sets, exactly how I showed everyone in Clicker 8. We can make them connect sets, and we can also make word banks as well. So we've got these 3 areas. We can also change like background colors that I showed earlier. We can change the font color, the font size, the background. We can change, you know, certain like suggestion words about the predictor. So we've got full control over elements of the look and feel. And I know when I was on my laptop, I was showing a couple of examples of activities as well. Those examples, the sentence, connect, and word banks, you will find the pre-made resources on the Clicker Writer app as well. So by clicking on the folder icon in the top left here, and then clicking on Learning Grids, on the iPad, we've got 1,103 resources. As you can see there, we've got English topics, math topics, science, geography. Oh, just accidentally clicked something there. Geography, history, collections of ideas, and then we've even got like a story corner section as well. So we've got loads of different areas embedded within Learning Grids, and you can access that through the Clicker Writer app as well, just by clicking on that folder icon in the top left. And then just to finish off before I go back to my laptop, in terms of sharing resources, you can share resources from the laptop to the iPad to the laptop, Chromebook to iPad, Chromebook to laptop, and you do that all through like just a sharing system. So Eric, you've got a Google Drive set up. You can share resources through the Google Drive. You can share them through a Dropbox, a OneDrive. So lots of ways to incorporate the Writer app into everyday teaching, having that ability to share resources instantly, you know, as we move through our writing really. So just while I share my laptop screen back, Erica, I don't know if there's anything you want to add to that.
Just to say that I really like the fact that the Learning Grids, I mean, they're reviewed, they're updated regularly, aren't they, Andrew? And I think it's good for, obviously, we have students who might be out of school. I'm not just for COVID, but they might be out of school for prolonged periods, whether it's, you know, recovering from surgery. For mainstream schools, it might be that you've got non-attenders. But I think what I like is the fact that, you know, these grids are linked to the national curriculum, so it does give you some instant resources for students who are not in school.
Yeah,
so I really like that feature of it.
Yeah, and then just to finish off, I've kind of just remembered this actually, Erica, just before we go on to our final slide. Can you see my screen again here on Clicker 8?
Yeah, Clicker document.
Yeah, the long. Can you see the writing as well? Yeah. So once we've produced a piece of writing, so that could be through using word banks, it could be using some of our sentence sets or connect sets. We want to then kind of like analyze or mark or assess what that pupil's done. Now, what we can do is once we've produced a piece of writing, whether that's through the app or Clicker 8, the button at the top here, we've got an analytics button, which is brand new to this version of Clicker. So we've produced this piece of work, and I'll click analytics. And what Clicker will do is it will essentially tell us how that document has been produced. So we've got 45 words in this document I created earlier. 19 came from a Clicker set, so a sentence set, a connect set, or a word bank. 5 words came from a predictor. 4 words were spell checked, and 17 words were just typed on the keyboard. So we can go through this as a teacher or a teacher assistant and see what support has been used and when they've had to use it as well. So as you can see here, we've got the traditional story connect set, and then we've got a word bank of traditional story words that they've had to use. We can see the spelling mistakes as well. So, spellings of the week, these could be added to. And then we can also see all the copy and pasted text as well in there. So a really nice analytics section we've got new to this version of Clicker 8 that we've got available. So I just wanted to finish off on that, Erica, just because I know it's a really beneficial tool for teachers to see how something's being produced, for that pupil.
Yeah, absolutely. And when it's funny, you just touched on something I just wanted to mention. You just said it then about spelling tests. So we use Clicker a lot for 10, 15 years now, but to use for our spelling tests. So, we might put in, even if you're just doing your CVC words, but we might put in 4 letters and throw a red herring in there, and just because of the different access methods, it means that all our students can take part in the spelling test. Sometimes you might put the picture on there as a prompt. It's just another really nice feature, and that is available now in your custom sets, isn't it, Andrew? That if you were to do a spelling test, which for any, I know Andrew's going to go to our closing slide now, but with his contact details on. But again, if you want any more information and specific features, then Andrew's contact details are there, and his email address and phone number if you wanted to look at something like the custom sets, for example, or have a bit of a one-to-one for your school. If you don't already, please do follow me on Twitter at Erica Smith 2019. I've put our head teacher, he's always quite active on Twitter, and our High Failing account. We have a High Failing School Facebook page where we showcase as much as possible the technology that we're using in school. If you haven't already, please do sign up for the Demonstrator School project, which has been extended for the next academic year, so we can provide that kind of more long-term support. I think this year was very much about supporting people with that remote learning. Now that students are back into school from today, I think it's really kind of now is the time to keep that momentum going of all the skills that school staff have kind of really upskilled themselves with the last 12 months, and now it's about embedding it within daily practice and make sure that we don't lose those skills which everyone's worked so hard over the last 12 months, really upskilling themselves in such a short space of time. I think if we'd have mapped out what all the work we've done this last year, I think that would have been probably a part of the 3-year school development plan, and education staff have really just kind of run with it over the last 12 months. So Andrew's details are there on the right hand side, so please do contact him. Andrew, I don't know if you want to say any more about contacting you and what support you can offer.
I think we can all agree that things over this past year have definitely changed. I don't think any teacher thought something like this would happen. It's completely changed the way that schools have had to teach now. I just want to say thank you to everyone that's watching this, and obviously thank you, Erica, for organising this so we could chat about Clicker. If any school is interested, of course, that's my email address. Pop me an email and we can have a chat. But I am making a PDF as well that I'll be sending across to Erica. So that will have links to our online training videos, general pages on Clicker 8 and the Clicker Writer app. And it'll also have a link to an area where you can book in an online one-to-one meeting with myself as well. So I always recommend that if you want to just have a look at Clicker, just to see if it'll suit some pupils or the school, we can book a one-to-one meeting in. They last for around 30-40 minutes. We have a chat like today, show some features of Clicker. You can ask questions. It's all live. And then we just kind of go from there, just offering as much support as possible. But yeah, I just want to say a big thanks from me. And I know, Erica, you'll thank everyone for watching this as well. And yeah, so if anyone has any questions, speak to Erica, speak to me, write my email address down there, and we'd be more than happy to help. So I don't know if you want to just finish off with anything there, Erica.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us today, Andrew. I just wanted to show something that we use quite a lot in schools, and I think it's really beneficial to know how it can be. I think it's one thing to hear the features, but then to hear from a school how they use it, I always find really kind of inspiring. So I hope that other people have found that really useful. please do join us. Like I said, if you don't already, sign up for the demonstrator project. I am going to be running quite a few of these kind of demonstration webinars over the next half term, the next term, as we move into the new year of the demonstrator program. And again, just contact Andrew if you would like some more information, if you found aspects of this morning useful. So thank you very much, Andrew, and thanks everyone for joining us.
Thank you very much, everyone.